Kroger brand products exclusively at Baker's have the great taste you'll celebrate. That's why over 40 million people choose Kroger brand products, making them a true crowd pleaser. And with quality guaranteed, you'll love your choice or get your money back. Score Kroger brand products with savings you can cheer for and great taste you can't resist. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
It's time for today's Lucky Land horoscope with Victoria Cash.
Life's gotten mundane, so shake up the daily routine and be adventurous with a trip to Lucky Land. You know what they say, your chance to win starts with a spin. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com to play over 100 social casino-style games for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs having fun.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. I am John Schmeelk. I'm joined, as always, by Paul Dottino. We'll be taking your calls at 201-939-4513. We are sitting underneath a nice little tent here on the balcony of the Jets practice facility out in Florham Park. Want to thank our counterparts in the Jets production department. They set it up really nicely for us out here. We got a nice internet connection, audio only today, because our entire production team is already on a bus back to the Quest Diagnostics Training Center. Paul and I are the only two left here. Luckily, Paul's kind enough to drive us over and back. So we'll be with you for the next 1 hour talking Giants football with you. All right, so I'll start here. You know, I like to really scout players that maybe people aren't that familiar with when we're at these practices, Paul, especially when you're facing a different team. You know, I think that Aaron Rodgers, if he really sticks with it and figures things out, that guy's going to be a pretty good NFL quarterback.
I'd say he's got a future and maybe even a present.
I got to tell you, folks, look, we sat through Eli Manning in training camp practices, Paul for his whole career, me since 2007. Aaron Rodgers is something else to see in person close up, man. That guy with his quick release and his accuracy and everything just seems so smooth and natural for him when he's back there. It was, and look, we've seen him on TV a million times, but to see him up close in practice, I got to tell you, it was pretty cool.
He is surgical. He's assertive. He's confident. He has complete command of the Jets offense. And it was clear that he was on his game today. The big question for them, obviously, is will he stay healthy and will he be able to last durability-wise and production-wise at his age over a 17-game season after missing last year because of the torn Achilles. The Giants' defense was really, really tested by Rodgers today, and quite frankly, they scuffled.
Yeah, Rodgers made a bunch of big plays down the field, over the top. One pass out of bounds to Garrett Wilson was still just an unbelievable throw. Banks was all over him, but he
right
put
in
it
front
in
of
the
me.
one spot. Yeah, both of us were standing right there, and he put it kind of in the one spot that he could catch it. But people aren't here to talk about the Jets. Let's talk about the Giants. So the way the Giants ran their offense today, I'm not sure if it was a product of how the Jets defense was lining up. And if you know the Jets defense with Robert Saleh, they do play a lot of umbrella coverage. They don't like things to get over the top on them. So maybe that's why the Giants, executed their offense the way they did. And by the way, I thought they were pretty efficient. I thought they completed a lot of throws. It was just, Paul, a lot of short stuff. Screen passes. We saw a little bit more motion today. Stuff in and around the line of scrimmage. A lot of throws to the running backs. A lot of short passes over the middle of Wan'Dale Robinson. Again, against a zone-heavy Jet scheme that plays a lot of, top-down coverage. It seems like that's what the Giants were leaning into offensively today.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. I'm sure that Brian Dable had it all written up in his script about how he wanted this thing to go. These coaches, when they do these joint practices, they have specific missions that they're trying to accomplish. And outside of a few, and I mean just a few throughout the course of the day, deep throws by Jones, the Giants did restrict themselves to just using the short game.
And only one go ball the whole game.
That's it.
One go ball.
That's it. There were a few 25, 30-yard passes.
Not even, really.
But that's it. No,
yeah.
That's it. And Wan'Dale Robinson, I will say this. During one of the 11-on-11 periods, Wan'Dale Robinson caught a short slant over the middle, and the secondary had parted like the Red Sea. He would have taken that to the house, but it would have been a catch and run.
Not sure it would have been to the house, but it definitely would have been an explosive
Huge play,
yes.
at the very least. And that was probably the only big play that the Giants would have succeeded on today. And again, it was because of what would have been a catch and run. They were not looking to really get the ball downfield.
Yeah, let's go through some of the particulars. They started their first team period was red zone drills. The Giants, I think, ran about 16 plays. Daniel Jones ran it in for a touchdown, one play on a scramble. And Tommy DeVito had a little skinny post to Daniel Bellinger over the middle for a touchdown in that series. So those are the two big plays. You had some nice run plays there. Both teams, by the way, there were no scuffles, nothing close to breaking out between the two teams. They handled it very professionally. Next team period, that was team stuff again, a lot of short stuff. And then they closed practice, Paul, with 4 2-minute periods, two by each team. And we'll get to the Giants defense in a second. But they started off with the offense. Daniel Jones, I believe on first down, had an incomplete pass or a short completion to the tight end. It was a short completion to the tight end for about 1 or 2 yards. I think it was Theo Johnson. Then the next play, he tries to – this is the 2-minute end of practice. He tries to get it deep to Malik Neighbors down the left sideline. He had to step on the defensive back. He was running, looking inside Jones because the safety was coming over, I think. And again, we're watching it live. I don't have the benefit of replay here.
I know.
Threw it over towards his outside shoulder. So if you guys can picture this in your mind's eye, you know, Neighbors is running, looking back over his right shoulder. He has to swap over his left shoulder as he turns to try to catch the pass, which is thrown to the outside towards the sideline. We talked to Neighbors after practice, said his eyes fell off the football a little bit, didn't pick it up until later, hit him right in the breadbasket. He
It was
had to turn
DJ
around
Reed
to try to
was
get
in
it.
coverage. DJ Reed.
Who's a good player.
He's a good player.
And Neighbors was very upset with himself that he didn't catch the ball at the end of practice. That I'm not sure if he would have gotten to the end zone. It might have been just short of the end zone.
Inside the 5.
But it would have been certainly a deep play that would have put a nice exclamation point on the day for the offense, but Neighbors could not come up with the pass. So, and then Jones threw 2 incomplete passes. One, Slayton could not get his feet down on the sideline. Another pass got knocked away on 4th down. And then the second Giants team, they got it down there. Tommy DeVito had a 4th down, or rather he threw 4 seconds to go looking for the touchdown, but the pass got knocked away over the middle. So that's how the Giants offense kind of ended the day in their 2-minute drill.
You know what's interesting about that Jones 2-minute drill? After the first pass to Neighbors, the next 3 that were all incomplete, they went at DJ Reed all 3 times. They did not even test Sauce Gardner at all in any of those pass plays, and I thought that was very interesting. You know, not that Reed is a slouch. He's a really good player too, but you know, we didn't see a ton of Sauce Gardner on Neighbors either.
No, we didn't, and
that was
I'm
interesting.
trying to remember a pass in Sauce Gardner's direction. Maybe one at the line of scrimmage, but
kept
nothing down the field. And
no, I don't see any in my
it
notes.
stinks because you like to see those matchups, but quite frankly, after trying to go at Stingley in the preseason game number 2, that might be a little part of, all right, maybe we're going to stay away from the Pro Bowl quarterback over there.
Whatever the case may be, and again, we talked to Brian Dable before practice. The coaches talked pre-practice, so we don't have a chance to get inside their heads and find out exactly what they were trying to achieve.
Right.
But it was quite clear by the run game the Giants used in the 11-on-11s, the short passing game they used in 11-on-11s, the fact they didn't throw deep, and then even on their medium-range passes, they went at DJ Reed. That had to be all intentional, John. That wasn't a matter of competition and a matter of game flow. It seemed like that was planned from the get-go.
Well, remember, too, Sauce Gardner doesn't travel, right? He stays on one side of the field in the Jets' defensive
scheme. So you could have thrown at him. You know where he was.
He is their left cornerback.
You know where he is.
Yeah, the only other play I'll bring up in terms of the offense, then we'll get into the O-line, D-line one-on-ones a little bit. Paul and I watched those at the beginning of practice, and we'll get right to your calls at 201-939-4513. The other chance they had at a big play for the offense, Paul, I believe this was in period 3 of the offense.
Let's see.
They finally had Theo Johnson going across the field on a crosser in space. He probably had 2 steps on the linebacker. I think it was number 53, if I remember properly, that was trailing him, hit him right in the chest, and Theo Johnson could not come up with the catch. That would have been a catch, and that might have been a run to the house because he had a ton of room there, and he did have a couple steps in the linebacker. So that was the only other offensive play I thought was worth mentioning. Besides, again, I thought Wanda Robinson was very, very efficient catching a bunch of short passes over the middle.
Yeah, no question. Wandell was very good. I thought in the run game it looked like Gray and Singletary got an awful lot of the reps today. I am sure that Dable had some very specific things that he wanted to get today. And when you go into a practice like this and you don't necessarily take a lot of deep shots, well, then that means you're not going to get a lot of explosive plays. You're not going to get exciting plays. You're not going to get the oohs and ahs for the crowd. On the other side of the ball, just to be fair, the Jets did throw a lot of balls downfield.
Oh, a ton.
And it was clear that that was their intention from the get-go. They were going to continue to throw it deep, and they did time and time again, no matter who the quarterback was.
Yeah, you were watching the defense more than I was. So,
I mean, here's what I will tell you. The Giants secondary had some miscommunications. They had guys who seemed to be in position but then didn't finish off the play. And the bottom line is this. They're going to have to get more sticky, and they're going to have to find out how to finish plays and execute ball skills better than what they showed today. This was a rough day. They scuffled. There's no question. And the Giants know that their young secondary is inexperienced, has to grow, has to mature, has to get better. They understand that. Today was a day that they're going to have to look at this tape, they're going to have to look at these films, and they're going to have to say, okay, learn from this, because it was one of their more difficult days of camp.
Yeah, and on that final 2-minute period where you had the ones against the ones and the twos against the twos, the Giants actually came up with an interception on the drive. A ball got batted up in the air at the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
We couldn't tell who batted it. It was hard to tell in the angle we had. Bobby Okereke picked it off, went the other way, which would have went for a big win for the defense, but there was a defensive holding penalty called in the end zone. We did not get a number on that, but it was on the left side of the field in the area. That was the side McLeod was on in terms of corner, but it could have been a safety or a linebacker. I have no idea.
Newbin looked upset.
Oh, maybe it was on Newbin?
He looked upset.
Okay.
So I'll assume that something wasn't right. Was it a penalty? Was it that he thought he should have done something else? I can't say, but he looked upset.
And then with the twos, Dane Belton made a nice little forced incompletion on the first throw from old friend Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
And then on the next play, and by the way, it was after that interception got called back with the ones. Aaron Rodgers found Alan Lazard on a little crossing around the back of the end zone for a touchdown. And then with the twos, Tyrod Taylor took to the field, and he, again, after that first pass got knocked away by Dane Belton, found Jason Brownlee, who we talked about him a lot from Southern Miss. I believe he was at the Senior Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. If you hear the wind, folks, we apologize. Like I said, we're on a balcony here.
He beat Goodrich on a go-round.
Yeah, over the top, and Alex Johnson was a little late coming over, and that was basically a 60-yard touchdown throw, something like that. It was a deep one. It was a really nice throw by Tyrod. So, again, you just can't get beat over the top like that.
No.
It's one thing to make a team work their way down the field, but it's tough to get beaten over the top. So that's something they're going to have to figure out.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting that, after the practice was over, the teams gathered each other in their respective huddles. And, we were coming back to try to get squared away for the media availabilities with the players.
Trying not to hear what was being said.
Exactly. But I think it was clear that just from the body language of the Giants players as they were collectively gathering in the circle, I think they were a bit disappointed and frustrated. I think
especially
it's clear.
For the defense, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. And here's the thing: if they want to go back and take something positive out of this, which is what every coach will do anyway, you will try to find positives in every single practice that you have, regardless of what may have gone wrong. They're going to point to the offensive line, defensive line drills, because it seemed to me, John, now I was with the defensive line, Giants starters. You were with the Giants starters offensive line. I will tell you, the Giants defensive line starters, they won those drills. They won the trenches drills. In fact, it was ridiculous how Brian Burns, it was almost like there was nobody in front of him. He just got into the backfield almost before the ball was snapped, and he wasn't offsides. That's how quick he was. It was a good day for the Giants in the trenches drills. You described to me, and I'll let you get into it, the offensive line. It seemed like there were a number of wins and a bunch of draws. Didn't sound like you had a ton of losses there. And that's the way I saw it on the other side with the defensive line in the trenches drills. So I think that's where the Giants are going to have to concentrate as they go back on the bus today and try to accentuate the positives.
Yeah, and I thought the offensive line held their own, Paul. I thought, the Jets had a couple wins. The offensive line had some wins. And look, when you're the offensive line in those one-on-one drills, you're never going to dominate because it's just very hard going one-on-one.
No doubt.
Against these more athletic defensive players. As Sean O'Hara has said on our shows, it's a drill that's made for the defense to win. So it's difficult for the offensive line to do well. But I'm looking at I tracked every single rep. Andrew Thomas was good as always. Jermaine Johnson had a pretty good rep trying to bull rush him into the backfield, but Thomas anchored late to slow him down. Greg Van Roten continues to be very solid in those drills. Aaron Stinney had a quick loss on a swim move, which I wasn't thrilled with. John Michael Schmitz had one too, but then they were both recovered. They won their second rep. Illuminor rode number 72 around the quarterback. Trying to see who 72 is for the Jets real quick. That's Michael Clemens. Rode him around on a wide rush. He won the second rep. I thought Evan Neal had 2 good reps. I thought Evan Neal had really good reps at practice yesterday, too, back at the Quest Diagnostics Training Center. He's moving pretty well.
I agree.
Coming off that foot and ankle injury.
And team drill, he looked all right, too.
I've been very happy with what I've seen from him since he's gotten back on the practice field.
I agree.
But I thought the offensive line held their own. I don't think there's any red flags there. Now, I did not see, and now maybe I missed it, but I have every rep tracked here. I did not see 95 for the Jets. That's Quinnen Williams. Do anything in those one-on-ones the same way you didn't see Tyron Smith.
Correct.
Who, by the way, you saw at the podium. And my God, looks like the guy's chiseled out of stone. And what is he, 35 now? It's unbelievable. The guy doesn't look like this. He's 330. He doesn't have like an ounce of body fat on him. It's
His physique
ridiculous.
is just cut out of granite.
Crazy. But I thought the Giants' offensive line did just fine. And I'm not going to be as tone-deaf or blind to history to say that I'm not concerned about the offensive line anymore because I've seen this movie too many times to come out and say that before the movie actually starts. But I actually feel pretty good, Paul, about that group, that you're going to get a high enough level of play where you're going to be able to do what you want offensively.
Yeah, I can understand that. I thought Kayvon Thibodeau had a couple of good reps in the trenches drills. Believe it or not, one of the most successful Giants, and this is going to kind of raise an eyebrow, Benton Whitley, the linebacker.
All right.
Whitley had a really nice day in the trenches drills as he was coming off of the edge. DJ Davidson also had a good day in the trenches drill with a win and a couple of draws.
Do you think he's solidified a roster spot? With Ryder Anderson going on IR and getting waived, I have a hard time seeing him not make the 53.
I agree. The question is, how many defensive tackles will you keep? You're going to keep 5?
I mean, I think even if you keep 4, I think he's on.
Okay. Well, now here's the problem. All right. You got Nacho, and you got Dexter Lawrence.
Those are the 2 you know are on. Correct.
And I think you're going to have Jordan Riley on this team.
Honestly, I think the way Andre Patterson likes to rotate guys, I think you keep 5 defensive linemen.
All right, so if you're going to keep 5, then Chapman, if you try to waive him, he's going to get claimed after what he did last week in Houston. He will get taken, so he's going to have to be one of them. And now if you're going to keep 5, then DJ Davidson has a really good chance to be that guy. Horn has actually shown some things.
I think Timmy Horn's done a nice job. I agree with you.
He's a veteran who knows what he's doing.
He's a 6th-year player.
And, he has played some outside and some inside. So, I think I would probably keep Davidson if I had to choose between the 2, but I don't want to discount Horn yet.
No, he's done a nice job. And by the way, all those defensive linemen played into the 4th quarter of that last preseason game. So I think the coaches are still trying to sort that out, too, along with that second cornerback spot and, frankly, the depth at cornerback, I think, are things that they're still trying to figure out. And we'll see. We don't know who's going to play in the 3rd preseason game and who's not. It would not surprise me if we got another series from the starters in that game. It would not surprise me if Brian Dable decided not to play him at all. Hopefully, when we talk to the coach tomorrow, he'll give us some idea.
You think?
I use the word hope, Paul. You can always hope.
Hope is not a good plan.
I do not expect.
There you go.
I do not anticipate. I hope. That's all I can do.
I will tell you this, folks, in talking to Neighbors and Jones at the presser after the practice, those were the only two Giants players who were made available to us. Neighbors said he'd like to play some more because he believes that as a rookie, every amount of reps that he can get is helpful.
He just likes to play, too.
He really does.
So does Daniel Jones, by the way.
And
he said he wouldn't mind playing either.
He said the same thing. He goes, I'm ready. I always want to play, and if Coach calls me, I'm ready.
The problem, though, is that if you're not going to play your starting offensive line, you can't play Daniel Jones.
You cannot.
That's the problem.
You cannot. Right. That's an easy call. Now, Drew Lock did not do any team drills today.
No.
Now, that's important.
That's the thing. I don't think they're going to want to play him on Saturday either. So can you play DeVito for 4 quarters?
I think you can, but of course Locke will probably be the emergency quarterback, and I would think, based on what Brian Dable has told us,
you're right. You can play DeVito for 4 quarters. I'm not sure why.
And Coach had said to us that one of the reasons, Locke is better. He's improving, and he could play, but he can't make all the throws to everywhere on the field right now because of the soreness that's in his side and his hip. So it's likely, I would think, that, he's going to have a very, very limited playbook with a ton of handoffs if he has to get in the game.
Yeah, I just think that's hand the ball off time if Drew Lock has to play. Correct. I'm with you.
Lucky Land Slots, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
201-939-4513. Guys, don't forget, go subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. We have a lot of great stuff on there. Make sure you go check it out. Interviews with Giants players and coaches. Warren Sharp, Pearson, I believe, is up there now. If you want to go check that out, Warren puts out the great book every year with all those stats and facts. He has a lot of good stuff in there. So go check out Warren Sharp and the Giants Huddle podcast. Also, folks, we're kind of consolidating our podcast platforms. So the Giants Huddle podcast is now going to kind of house all of her Playbook podcast, all of the Hangout podcast, and those podcast feeds for those two shows are going to disappear at the end of the month. So they're all going to be included on that Giants Huddle podcast feed. Draft season's going to go up there too, though that individual podcast feed will stick. And we're eventually, and I think maybe September 1st, we're going to rebrand the Giants Huddle podcast feed, the Giants Podcast Network feed, so it'll kind of hold all of our podcasts. But don't worry, I'm not letting Pearson off easy. He's still cutting 5 Giant Huddle podcasts a week during the regular season.
Yes,
so
am.
If you think that I'm giving Pearson a break, you'd be incorrect. So I know you guys are really worried about that. He'll still be, grinding down to the bone. Pearson, how you doing back there
I'm good.
In the studio?
Everyone's good.
That's great.
Yep, waiting for you guys to get back.
Has the bus arrived back yet with the players and coaches yet?
You know what? I think they stopped for food on the way back or something.
Are you serious?
Yeah, maybe Rutt's Hut.
Well, you know what, Pearson? On the basis that none of us who came down here had a morsel to eat, I'd say that's a pretty smart move by them.
See, I have a couple Kind bars in my bag. So
I have an apple in the car.
Well, that doesn't really help you. We're not in the car.
We will be in another 45 minutes.
You have been known to eat an apple on the show before.
I have been known to eat an apple at any time.
Yes, that is correct. All right, let's get to the phones. I see we got a full bank, 201-939-4513. Let's go to Tom in Stratford. He'll lead us off today. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Good, guys. How you doing?
We're great.
Hi.
I'll be quick question before I get to a couple of points. Do they tackle to the ground during these practices?
No, they purposely tell the players not to, Tom, because once you tackle to the ground, you can roll ankles, roll knees. That's when guys get hurt. Now, you will have some plays occasionally where a guy will fall to the ground and tackle somebody, but it's something that is very much encouraged. They want everyone to stay up.
Tom, give me a second here because this is a good time to talk about this. They're doing basically thuds where you kind of hit the guy, you wrap him up, and you don't let him fall. You're supposed to hold him up. And why do I want to interrupt you with this? Because remember what happened. The Jets and Panthers had some issues with some scuffling going on. The Giants and the Lions had some scuffling going on during these joint practices. Well, today, John, I don't know how many times you heard it. I heard it constantly. Coaches screaming, stay up, stay up, stay up, stay up. Saleh and Dable have great respect for each other. Not that the other coaches that were involved in joint practices don't, but these guys made it very clear to their players that they wanted to make sure that there was nothing extracurricular going on today. And they were very, very on top of it with their staffs about stay up, stay up, stay up. And they did a good job keeping it clean.
They did.
Oh, good. That's good to hear. Oh, did I lose you?
No, we're with you, Tom. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I'm not going to beat a dead horse to death, but regarding the last game and DJ's performance, I'll just say I agree 100% with Coach Marvin from yesterday. I also agree with Jason from yesterday in that he has some real legitimate weapons now and looks like a decent line. And I'm looking forward to seeing some 4 wide receiver formations and laying the rip. And
I think you will, Tom. I think you will.
Tom, you're going to see some empty backfields with 5 targets going out. Trust me.
Okay, that's great. And I'm really hoping Priscilla can help bring out the potential in Neal that's commensurate with his draft status. And also Josh Azudu. In my opinion, he doesn't get enough love, that guy. Has he taken any snaps at guard this summer?
No, but
it's all been a tackle.
No, it's all been a tackle. Priscilla was asked about that when the assistant coaches met the media last week, and he said, look, we know he can play guard. We still see him as a guy that can play guard, but we want to get as many reps as tackle as possible so we can get more of that position flex if he's one of our backups this year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. And I also thought your show with Matt Sims was fantastic, and your podcast there. So I was trying to come up with a 53-man roster, and I couldn't get it under 60. So I'm glad I don't have to make these decisions.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Appreciate the call.
Be good.
I did start that. I put a little thing on paper the other day, and I think I left that particular notepad that I used for that back at the facility. But I'll be honest with you, the offense I didn't have that many issues with. The offense has already had trouble cutting down, right?
Okay.
The defense, in some of the spots I had trouble finding guys. So, because all the injuries at linebacker, defensive backfield, that was a little bit more of a challenge for me heading into the season where they are on the defensive side of the ball, depth-wise at a couple of those spots.
Yeah, the Giants got some guys nicked up right now that, Dable has been telling us week to week, and week to week is going to start getting into opening day territory.
Well, we are right now. We are, 4 days from Sunday? So we are 18 days from the first regular season
That's
game.
right. And
2.5 weeks. That's it.
At some point, some of these guys may start to factor into these decisions.
Now,
Remember,
we should note, by the way, that they have the new rule this year where you can IR 2 guys
as reserve
before
IR.
the season, but you don't have to take up 2 spots in the 53 with them.
Right.
So that'll make it a little bit easier.
The cut down day is Tuesday following this Saturday's Jets game. Okay.
4 p.m. on that Tuesday.
And that gets you to 53. Then the next day you can bring back your practice squad guys. You'll
and waiver claims.
Waiver claims. You'll get 16 guys plus the 1 international. And I would think that McAtamney, the Irish kicker from Rutgers, I would think he's going to get the international spot. Why wouldn't they just keep him and make him number 17 on the practice squad? So, decisions are going to be coming upon us really, really soon. And there are some guys, I'll give you a great example. They wanted Cordell Flott to win the CB2 job. And Cordell Flott right now has himself a soft tissue injury with a quad, and he's been unable to practice for a while.
2 weeks now. Well, this is week number 2. It started last Monday.
And that's not good.
Dable did say he was closer than the other guys he termed week to week, for whatever that means. But he ain't going to play on Saturday, though.
No.
I mean, if he was going to play on Saturday, he would have practiced today.
That's the point. And you now are going to have to make a decision about him. And this is a guy who they wanted to win the CB2 job, but now he's been unavailable. When he played earlier in training camp, they're still trying to get him fully acclimated to the boundary. Because in his first 2 years with the team, he was hurt a lot and he played a lot of slot.
Played outside his first year, but last year he was almost exclusively inside.
And they're trying to get him rebuilt again as a boundary guy.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had enough work.
And the problem, Paul, and again, we know about his size coming out, injuries have been an issue with him in his first couple years. So, I mean, if I had to bet right now, I think Nick McLeod's your starting week 1 outside corner.
I think he very well could be. And by the way, McLeod did have a nice pass breakup today. On defense, which was important, obviously, for him.
The one on Wilson?
Yeah.
I thought that was a drop.
Did you?
I
thought he got a deflection on it.
I thought it was out before he got there. I could be wrong, though.
Let's put it this way.
It was on the other side of the field. He was in the neighborhood, and Wilson did not catch the pass.
And he did give him a shove as the ball was getting there at the time. So, if that's a situation where if the receiver's going to say to himself, yeah, I should have caught it, made the juggling catch, but McLeod's going to say, well, I prevented him from getting that second handle on the ball.
No, that might be true. Good point. All right, let's go to Mo in Amityville. He is up next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. What's up, Mo?
Hey, how you doing, fellas?
We're good.
Good. First off, I just wanted to start. This is my first time calling. I wanted to give you guys your flowers. I love everything you do, the information, the insight. It's amazing. It gets me through my day.
Well, thank you, Mo. We really appreciate that.
That's great.
Thank you for absorbing the programming. If it wasn't for guys like you that do it, we wouldn't be here doing it. So we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, it's no problem. I enjoy it too. The first thing I want to get to two things. I'll try and get through them as quickly as possible. First thing was I wanted to just say how excited I am for Evan Neal's future. We, as a team, don't really get the opportunity. Like, every time we've drafted a lineman, we draft a lineman that we need. We need him to start. We did the same thing with Evan Neal again, and he obviously had trouble with it. Now with Illuminor starting, I feel like we could do something that we see Philly do, we see Dallas do, where they get these guys. These guys are able to sit behind a veteran, Illuminor, and he'll be able to kind of come along, and then when Illuminor's contract runs out in 2 years, he'll be more than ready to start. Will we be able to keep him because he'll be going into a contract year, or should be right after his contract year? I don't know. But I do think that he will be successful coming in behind Illuminor more than he was coming in as a rookie.
Well, that's certainly possible. I will tell you, we're giving a lot of credit to Carmen Brasillo because of his reputation, and he's finally gotten his chance to start to mold that piece of clay.
Well, and the early results, Paul,
pretty
have been
good.
Positive. I
They
mean, this
are.
is as good as I've seen of the Giants' offensive line in camp since I've been here.
There's no question.
Well, not since I've been here. Since the great lines of the Super Bowl teams
right?
have left.
Don't include those
Correct.
guys. But and even in the couple of days that Neal has taken second team reps, he's looked better.
In team reps yesterday, Bob Papa and I were sitting on the sideline watching practice, and we said, look, we're just going to watch Neal on every snap here and see how he does. And they had 8 straight pass pro snaps when he was blocking for Tommy DeVito in the twos. And, maybe 1 or 2 were draws, but he didn't get beat on any of them. And today, he was good in one-on-ones. I want to see how he improves with Carmen Brasillo having his hands on him. Unfortunately, they haven't had much time together on the practice field. And once you get to the regular season, you're not really training up backups at that point. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully he takes advantage of these next 2 weeks. He's going to be on the roster. I imagine they'll probably start cross-training him at guard a little bit just because they want all of their backups to be able to play multiple positions. But I have not given up all hope on Evan Neal. He's still only played in, I think, 21 pro football games, including the 2 playoff games in his rookie year. For many of those games in his first year, he played hurt, coming off that knee injury. And, last year, he obviously lost more than half the year because of the low leg injury. He did not play well before he got to that point. Though he did have some moments. Like I was talking to Illuminor when he first got here, and, we were talking about Evan Neal on the side, and he said, look, I went back and I watched some of his stuff. Like, he was pretty good against Matt Crosby for a half in that game. And he goes, if he can just, put that together more consistently, I think he can still be something. So I still think there should be hope for him, and I think it's a good thing that, he's healthy. You got to put him in there. The fact that you can now take your time and kind of rev him up a little bit, I think can only be a good thing. Would you prefer to have to do that in the 3rd year of a guy picked 6th overall? Obviously not, but that's where we're at, and hopefully it'll help him.
For a guy who was a number 1 draft pick and has gone through the spotlight in New York and had a lot of negativism thrown at him because of the injuries and the inconsistent play, and it's all justified, maybe now that he is being forced to sit back and become a backup at the moment is the best thing that could happen to him, because now maybe the heat and the pressure is off of him, and maybe he can just concentrate on trying to get better.
Yeah, reset mentally a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
Go ahead, Mo.
Yeah, I completely agree with both those points. My second thing I wanted to say was bold prediction for you, Schmeelky.
All right, Pearson, get ready to write it down, Pearson.
It's extremely bold, so it's probably going to be wrong. But I I think there's a possibility that Jalen Hyatt has the most receiving touchdowns on the team this year. And my reasoning for that is I just think that from the extended green zone, he's going to be the guy with teams double teaming. If teams do actually start double teaming Malik Neighbors, he's going to be the guy who's going to get those shots from the extended green zone more often than not.
Interesting, Mo. I will say this. I agree with that. The wide receiver opposite Neighbors on the outside is going to get a bunch of one-on-one opportunities. I think you're right about that. I will say this. And, Paul, feel free to disagree with me if you do. We have not talked about this. I feel like Slayton has edged his way maybe a little bit ahead of Hyatt. Just a little bit, where maybe it'll be a 60-40 snap count or a 50-50 snap count. I feel like we've just seen Slayton more with the ones, at least the last couple days of practice, than we've seen Hyatt.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that Darius Slayton, as many times as people have tried to write him off, he keeps coming back. He's reliable. He runs good routes. He's got good hands. He has deceptive speed.
Most of the time with the hands. Sometimes,
most of the time. And he and Daniel have a really good connection.
I mean, when they had the 3rd and 4th down plays in that 2-minute drill, who'd he go to when he needed those
86.
two passes? He went to 86.
And that cannot be discounted.
Like I said, it was extremely bold. If it's right, it's right. If it's
I
wrong,
like
it's
it.
wrong.
No, it's a good one.
No, I like that, Mo. You got anything else for us, brother?
No, that's it. Thank you guys for your time. You have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to hearing the rest of the show.
Hey, appreciate the call, man. Good stuff, Mo. Thank you. You know, I like Slayton, and this is what we talked about when they drafted Neighbors, so I don't want to restate my point that I've made many times on the show. But now he's your 3rd target. That's what he should be. Like, that's where he fits. He's been your 1. And, again, this is not me taking any shots at Darius Slayton. He's been a great player. He's done a really good job being their number 1 wide receiver the last 3 years, and the Giants are lucky to have him. But this is where I think he can really be effective, where he's not the guy that other teams are like, well, we can't let Slayton beat us, right?
Right.
I mean, I was thinking about this the other day, Paul. My gosh, when they made the playoffs, Rich James was their leading receiver.
57 catches
and
for
Isaiah
Richie James.
Hodgins at the end of the year was their 2nd or 3rd receiver, depending on how you wanted to look at Slayton.
Richie James could not make this team today.
No. He'd be their 3rd punt returner. So it's just it's amazing how much different it can make when you get that kind of number 1 guy in the door. All right, let's go to Joe in Pennsylvania. He's been holding the longest. Hi, Joe.
Hi, guys. Great to talk to you. The air's changing. It's getting close.
Oh, and by the way, we got nice fall weather out here. It's a little breezy. I got a little windbreaker on. Like, I feel football weather coming, Joe, and I am ready. I'm tired of watching practice. Today was fun to get to watch Aaron Rodgers. I'm tired of watching practice and exhibition games at this point. Let's get to that Viking games week 1, please. I'm very excited.
It's coming quick, and my blood pressure's going up. So
relax, Joe. It's okay. It's okay.
No, it
Are
is.
you telling somebody else to relax?
I am.
Hey, John.
Enjoy it, man. It's a nice August day.
John, I watched that today, that in the huddle, and as soon as I saw that Warren Sharp, you know who he reminded me of a lot? Maybe you would know, Paul, who he looks like.
He's got a nice mustache, I'll tell you that.
A mustache and the eyes. He looks like a young Jeff
Hostetler? He does have a little Hostetler in him. You're not wrong about that. Warren Sharp does have some Jeff Hostetler in him. You're right about that.
I thought that's what I thought. Are you interviewing him? You know, if you look at him, Paul, man,
Wow.
his eyes are younger.
I haven't seen Warren in a while, but I guess I could understand because I do know with a mustache.
I'll bring up the graphic. I'll show it to you right now.
Yeah. Now, when you interview him, I heard him say, if I got this right, that we're going to go up against a lot of strong pass defenses, so we should run the ball. Is that what he said?
Yes. I recorded that interview, Joe, about 2 weeks ago, so I'm probably not as sharp on the details as I should be. But, yeah, if I recall, the Giants, I think, have the 6th toughest pass defense schedule in the league this year or something like that. But believe it or not, even though it's still bad, it's not as bad as last year. Last year, I think they were third or second.
Right.
Last year was a nightmare. So it's not as bad as last year, but I do still think it's a challenge pass defense-wise. I don't have his book in front of me. I don't have it with me out here at the Jets facility, otherwise I'd be able to tell you. But, yeah, it will be a tough pass defense season, but I think it's going to be a little bit easier defensively, if I remember correctly.
Now, Joe, remember this, and we've been telling you this since the springtime. I think the Giants are going to use a lot more quick game and short passing game as a pseudo part of the running game. So while they may have a lot of numbers in terms of the pass attempts, the style of those passes will make a difference in terms of how they're going to try to move the ball down the field.
Just go Giants. Now I'm mad at the Jets. How did they let that good defensive guy go to the Eagles? Their
Bryce Huff?
Yeah. Was he just a cap situation, or what happened there?
They didn't think they could afford him, Joe. It was that simple.
Yeah, well, whatever. That ticked me off, but hopefully.
Well, it's okay because they got their comeuppance. Hassan Reddick doesn't want to sign, so they kind of paid the price on the back end.
Yeah, they try to kind of swap those two guys out, and, well, they didn't work that thing out with Reddick particularly well.
All right. Now I want to get to two. I see did we restructure Thomas's contract?
Field Yates of ESPN reported that. But we don't have confirmation because the Giants do not officially deal with news regarding contract renegotiations.
I mean, Brandon Brown pretty much answered the question about it yesterday. So,
if they did, you know what I mean. Shane don't like kicking the can down the road, but he's freeing up some money. So if he does make a move, I think the biggest hole we have, and it's obvious, is to get another defensive back in here possibly.
Yep.
So that's what I'm hoping for. Unless we make some kind of trade, I don't know with our receivers or extra linemen or something like that. But the only other thing I want to say is, we got to get behind Daniel. He is our quarterback, and he was talking. John, you were talking to Warren Sharp that how much he was pressured the most. It's crazy. He has to be somewhat shell-shocked, so we got to give him a chance. And I think if they could have got another quarterback, I can understand because he does get injured, but that's through the poor offensive line play too. So he's our quarterback, and I think he can do it. If after he watched the film of last game, he could look at it and say, you know what, I could step back there and take an extra breath. You know what I mean? That he has a chance. So I'm hoping on that, and Neil, our offensive lineman, to give him a chance, and we come around and we have one hell of a season. So thanks for taking my call.
Thank you. Appreciate the call, Joe.
Good stuff, Joe.
Yeah, I'm trying. Actually, just finally opened up Warren's book here. I'm going to try to figure that one out here. But in the meantime, let's go to Donnie in Queens. Look up that fact there from Joe. Donnie, what's going on, pal?
Hey, guys. I was actually at practice today, so just wanted to drop a couple observations.
Oh, you were one of those guys in the Giants blue jerseys. We did see quite a few fans who decided to make the trip.
I was in enemy territory taking the heat, and that's fine.
Aaron Rodgers is pretty good. Hey, Donnie?
He's not bad. I wouldn't mind a player like that on our team, and I was certainly heckled about it, but I was certain to remind those the Jet fans in attendance where the Lombardi trophies reside in the state of New Jersey. So, to each their own there.
Yeah, so by the way, Donnie, real quick before you start, I did look it up. So, third hardest projected pass defense schedule this year for the Giants. Third hardest. Last year they had them at fifth, which was also really, really difficult. But so that's where there is. Rush defense, though, projected at 28th, if that makes you feel any better.
Well, it does. And again, short pass, catch and run, get the yak yardage out of Wan'Dale Robinson, get that out of Neighbors. That could help.
Go ahead, Donnie.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. So on the positive side, I did think the offensive line held up. And I'm only talking about first team here. The rest of it, to me is not as important. But first team offensive line,
I thought they were solid. You know, were they dominant? No, but you know, that's a really good front there. I did think that their secondary kind of kept everything in front of them. There wasn't a lot of room downfield. You know, a couple missed opportunities. I will say with Malik, the dropsies are a bit of a recurring theme now for me. Starting to, you know, it's not necessarily trend yet, but something to keep an eye on. He's you know, had trouble holding in some plays here and there. You know, the last couple you know, weeks or so, I would say. You know, on the negative side, I mean, the defense was bad. I mean, the secondary, I don't know if it was, you know, miscommunications or blown assignments or whatever the case may be. But Garrett Wilson was just running wide open way too often.
And Donnie, I'll say this: if anyone plays fantasy football out there, draft Garrett Wilson. He might get like 180 targets this year. Oh my gosh, he looks at him every play. It's ridiculous.
He does. He really does.
Look, he's an excellent player, of course. And look, whatever you want to say about the Jets, you know, they're pretty loaded right now. But I mean, there was just a lot of too many things going on in that secondary for me. And frankly, I almost think it's malpractice at this point to go into the season expecting Nick McLeod, a third-round rookie, Pinnock, and another rookie at safety to hold up. I mean, it's almost like we're forced to just assume Deontay Banks can handle that number one role because there's no one there to challenge him with. But no, that's a tough position, too, for young players. They got to get somebody in here with a little bit of know-how. Otherwise, I fear that our pass rush is going to be negated by, you know, the teams with good quarterbacks and good wide receiver players.
If it'll make you feel any better, when Brandon Brown, the assistant GM, spoke to the media yesterday, he made it very clear that while they want these young secondary players to develop and they need to give them a chance to mature and all that stuff, he made it clear they've got their eyes and their ears open for a potential veteran who might spring free in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, remember, too, Donnie, there could be a waiver claim. The Giants are 6th in the waiver order. I also think this might be a situation, if you guys that are old enough and are crazy enough to remember this, when the Giants traded for Billy Price before cutdowns a few years ago. Now, that didn't exactly work out that well at center, but you try to find a player at a position of need on another team that you can then either send a pick or a player at a position of strength that you have, and you bring that player in. I could see them either doing that, using the waiver claim, or even going out there and signing a veteran. So, Donnie, look, based on what these coaches have said when they've been asked about the secondary, no one is under any illusion that they're not running out a bunch of young guys that is a little bit risky. So I think they understand, and I would be very surprised if we don't see one or two new bodies in that defensive back position group be here. I feel okay about the safety spot, to be honest with you. I don't think that's the need. I think the need is at corner, specifically outside corner. I would be very surprised if we don't get to week 1, and I'll even say it, that there aren't 2 new cornerbacks that are not currently on the roster in that room.
You know, the last couple of weeks they brought in 3 or 4 corners, and to be frank, I don't think any of them have done anything that would make me like raise my hand and say they need to be here. These guys were practice fillers, preseason game fillers, and I don't think any of those guys have really done anything that would make them win a spot.
Now, the problem, Donnie, is that corner is a very tough position to find good players to break free. You know, it isn't quite offensive tackle now, where you're never going to get anybody good at that position. Nothing's or edge rusher, where you're also probably not going to get anyone that's very good. But you know, that's why I think it might have to be a trade, because I think good corners on waivers are tough. So I think they might have to work out one of those trades.
You know, the one guy in the last week, and I know you want to finish here, but Trey Hawkins in the last week has done better. He's done better. And although today
there's been plays too, Paul, and there were plays in the game, in preseason game too also.
Yeah, but he didn't have a real good start to training camp. And he's at least had some flashes lately. I know we're asking a lot, but I think he's going to be on the team. Let's put it that way. Whether or not he gets playing time remains to be seen. Look, remember years ago they picked up Leon Hall, they picked up Sensabaugh. They picked up Fabian Moreau 2 years ago.
Look, that's the name to point to. Because
Those
Fabian
are the
Moreau
guys.
Leon Hall didn't exactly give you a whole lot. But Fabian Moreau was a guy that at least I think played. He started for them 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
3 years ago,
And
right?
Leon Hall, for 2/3 of the season, got a lot of time in the sub-package.
Yeah,
and then he got hurt.
I think Fabian Moreau, Donnie, is a good guy. And, maybe he'll get let go by the Lions. Who knows? Or I think he's the Bears? Lions? Where is he? I'm trying to remember.
Did he go back to Denver?
Maybe
I
Denver.
think he was in Denver.
Wherever Fabian Moreau is, maybe that's the type of guy you can think about bringing in that can at least bring some stability to the back end.
Look at it this way. When the Giants made the deal for the 7th-round pick for Isaiah Simmons last year, right? The Cardinals apparently, they kind of knew they were phasing him out. Giants said, we'll give you a 7th-rounder, and you go and you pick up a guy like that because you kind of see that the team doesn't want that veteran around, and they'd rather have a pick than cut him.
Yeah, look, I'm not expecting Deion Sanders to come walking.
No, you're not getting Deion Sanders. No.
Into the I would, compare it to remodeling a home. It costs money and it takes time. So, just the way things have worked out for them, it really didn't present it to them this offseason. I'll hang up after this. I would assume that either the organization or the player, maybe on both sides, something went awry with the relationship between Adoree Jackson and the Giants because it just makes too much sense for him to be out there, have familiarity with the coaching staff and the organization, for him to not be back. Maybe he doesn't want to go to training camp. Who knows? Maybe that's up their sleeve. I don't know. But, to me, that's a young guy with familiarity with your coaching and the other guys.
Well, maybe it's not between Adoree and the Giants. Maybe Shane Bowen and his past with Adoree Jackson don't necessarily see it eye to eye, too.
Yeah, he seems familiar with Jerome Henderson and Brian Dable, but maybe Bowen doesn't think he fits in his system.
Could be.
I don't know.
Could be. We're just discussing possibilities here.
Thanks, guys.
I appreciate it, Donnie. Good stuff.
There's no better place to watch live TV this fall than Hulu Plus Live TV. Why? Because you get your favorite sports like football, local channels, shows, and so much more. Plus, get Hulu's entire streaming library with Disney Plus and ESPN Plus included with your plan. No long-term contracts or hidden fees. Don't wait. Start your 3-day free trial of Hulu Plus Live TV today. Live TV plan required. Access content from each service separately. Offer valid for new and eligible returning subscribers only if available. Terms and restrictions apply. Learn more at Hulu.com.
Yeah, I don't know about Adoree. I feel like he would be here by now if that was something they wanted to do. But you never know.
I haven't seen his name attached to anybody, even walking in for a conversation or a tryout or any contract talks.
Hey, look, if you watched him on tape last year, wasn't the best.
He had, I thought, his most inconsistent year with the Giants.
And I think they asked him to play slot early in the year. Right. I don't think that's something he was very good at.
And he also got hit. He missed some concussion time, too.
Yeah, I think that was last year. So
I don't know where he's at right now either in terms of his desire.
Yeah. All right, we got about 10 minutes here, Paul. If someone wants to squeeze in one more call, we can at 201-939-4513. Heading into preseason game number 3 now.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about for you, most important things roster-wise that you want to keep an eye on?
Well, the one thing that we know for sure, and we've already discussed some of the soft spots already in terms of the starting lineup, you got to worry about your starting offensive line. You got to worry about your secondary. To me, right now, I'm really curious as to how the linebacker situation is going to square itself away because you got a couple of injuries there.
Couple?
Well,
half dozen.
And look, Muasau right now, since the Houston game, he moved up into running with the ones with Bobby Okereke in practice.
There's no one left.
Because there's no right. And to be honest,
Brian Dable was asked that. That's what he basically said today. He's like,
yes.
Well, guys, we've had a lot of injuries there. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
Yeah, and he's not ready to get a major role as a linebacker in this league.
And by the way,
I
think he's actually flashed his ability to get to the ball. He showed some quickness, some speed.
He's got athleticism.
He's not a guy you're going to slot in there with your starters.
No,
right.
no. And I guess my disappointment is that Beavers didn't seize the ability to take that spot, and jump him on the depth chart, that they decided that this week that Muasau would be the guy who was getting those first-team reps instead of Beavers. I'm disappointed because I think Beavers had a good early camp.
Yeah, he had some missed tackles in that
then
game.
Then he missed two tackles that he needed to make, and he didn't do it. He didn't wrap up. Now, is that his punishment? that, he didn't get those extra reps with the ones? Maybe it is. Maybe that lights a fire under him. Maybe he has a great game against the Jets on Saturday and reasserts himself. I don't know. But right now, I'm very interested in looking at that linebacker spot, which is something we hadn't talked about much earlier.
Yeah, no question about it. Some quarterback news today, by the way. Bo Nix named the Broncos starter, which is not surprising given how he's played.
I'm a Bo Nix guy.
So he will start for Denver to begin the year, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah, look, I'm with you. I think they'll have to figure that out in that third preseason game. I think maybe no Dexter and no Nacho in this game, but a ton of snaps for the guys we talked about earlier in the show. DJ Davidson, Elijah Chapman, Timmy Horn, Jordan Riley.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the four guys that I think are battling for spots right now, and we'll see who's able to claim them. I don't think they can keep all four, but they have kept a lot of defensive linemen before. We'll see. And I guess the other question I'll ask you, do you think they keep a fifth edge player? Because I'd be surprised if Ojulari and Boogie Basham are not on the team. I think they are.
I think they're here.
With Thibodeau and Burns?
Yeah.
Do they keep a fifth edge? Ben Whitley would probably be the guy.
Whitley, to me, has shown the most flashes during the course of training camp.
How much has he done on specials? I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to ask Gabriel about that. I'm not sure.
I haven't looked into that enough. I have always kind of hoped that Tamon Fox would wind up blossoming more than he has.
We haven't seen a ton from him in this summer.
He's been really quiet. And Whitley, I think, is the guy who's made the most noise if you're going to keep a fifth.
Now, he's been going against the threes a lot, too. Keep that in mind. And Brian Daboll's made that point. So maybe we'll see Whitley. Maybe they'll get a chance to run him against the ones and the twos a little bit in the preseason game to see what he can do.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. Here's the other thing. Now, if you decide to keep 5 defensive tackles and you're going to shave somebody off the outside linebacker spot, just remember something. We've been talking about this now for months, that the kickoff situation is probably going to be filled with a lot of linebackers.
Yeah, and you also have Isaiah Simmons as a hybrid player, too, that you can slide in there if you have to.
I don't know that I want Simmons playing special teams anymore because he's going to become so important to the defense.
I meant linebacker. I mean, if you need a guy to run off the edge and you have to,
I thought you were talking about specials.
No. I meant linebacker.
Because it seems clear that people around the league think you need to be able to keep an extra linebacker or two because of special teams and the new kickoff rule.
Yeah.
That seems to be the predominant feeling. The end of this roster, man, is going to be really very, very difficult.
All right, those are the 2 defensive spots. I think you have your 3 safeties, Paul. Who's your 4th safety right now?
I think McLeod becomes the 4th safety if they get into a bind.
So then you can keep the extra corner. So you don't keep your only straight safeties are Belton, Pinnock, and Newman.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Now, Andre Johnson has done some nice things at times.
Alex Johnson.
Yes.
I wish the Giants had Andre Johnson. That'd be nice. He's pretty good.
Yes, indeed. Number 25, Alex Johnson. He has done some things at times. I think he's a practice squad player. I don't think he's a roster.
I would tend to agree. All right, the other spots on offense that I kind of had some questions about, 4th tight end. I think I'm at 3 now just because we don't know about Cadre with the injury. Maybe that's the guy you can slide on to injured reserve if you want.
Yeah, I'm at 3.
That's where I'm at now, too. Only because if Cadre was healthy, I think it's a different conversation.
Could be.
But with the injury, and Brian Daboll has not indicated that he's close, I think the Gunner injury, too, gives a big leg up to Isaiah McKenzie at wide receiver for your 5th spot. And then the 6th spot, I think it's kind of Allen Robinson versus Isaiah Hodgins, or do you want a guy that's more of a special teams player in a Boykin or a Bryce Ford Wheaton? Again, this is a feel thing. I think I lean towards Allen Robinson right now.
Today, Allen Robinson makes it for me. Today.
Yeah, I'm on the same page.
But I'll tell you what, for me, and I've said this now consistently, and I'm not moving off of it, I'd rather have Olszewski than McKenzie returning punts.
The problem is that when is Gunner going to be available?
And we don't know the answer to that.
That's another guy that has a potential IR designation
for return
spot. Correct.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
So the other spot, too, we know the 6 offensive linemen that are on the team, right? You have the starters, Illuminor, Van Roten / Stinney. So there's 3 right there, right?
Right.
Schmitz, Runyon, Andrew Thomas.
Right.
And then Evan Neal. So that's 7, pardon me. So you know the 7 guys that are going to be on the team.
Zudu's on the team.
Do you think for sure?
Yeah.
That's 8. Do you keep a 9th?
I think you have to.
So that's Miles, you think? Or do you think that's a center? Is it Schlotman?
Well, Van Roten gives you that extra flexibility of the center.
Remember, Runyon took some center snaps, too, at the start of camp.
Runyon did, too. And quite frankly, his shoulder's been a little bit lingering longer than I thought it was going to. Which
Dable was asked today if he had any concerns about Runyon for the regular season.
He said
he
didn't.
No.
He said he didn't.
Dable will usually give you the "we'll see" answer if he's not sure. Miles would be my last guy on.
Yeah, I probably would go with Miles as well. I probably would.
Because Zudu can play guard, and then Miles is your strict backup tackle.
Yeah. If you had to go 4 deep at the tackle spot, you could do.
I'm just looking at the roster, making sure I'm not forgetting any offensive linemen in this conversation. McKeithen, Schmitz, Mayfield, Kubas. That's a young guy. Who knows? Schlotman, Marcellus Johnson, the undrafted free agent.
Morrissey and Nelson don't make it for me.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, that would if I'm keeping a 9th, and I think that usually teams keep 9.
Yeah. You got to go 9.
I think for me it would be Miles, just because you want to have as much. The problem is that then you have 3 tackles.
I know.
And as backups, and you don't really have, besides Stinney, a true backup guard.
Well, maybe at that point.
But Azudu's then a guard.
Because Zudu
goes in the guard.
Azudu's like, okay, you know what? We saw enough of tackle. Okay, we've got an extra tackle here. Now you get to be guard again. That's all. Just move him inside.
Yeah, and I think I have all 3 quarterbacks on.
I've been pretty strict with that now for several weeks. I waffled before training camp, and now I am absolutely Tommy DeVito has to be here.
And I think you might figure out a way to keep all 4 running backs now. With only the 3 tight ends. I think you have a shot at it.
So you're going to keep Dante Miller as the 4th?
Maybe. If you don't play him in this game, you might be able to sneak him on the practice squad. But if he plays in this game, has a couple big runs, then you have to recalibrate. I'm serious.
No, I know. See, this is the fine line. One of the things that I think it was it Brandon Brown who said, if a guy does something really, really good at practice during the practice reps or the joint practices, that film doesn't go out there. But film from the preseason games does go out there.
Hit it.
So, you want to play the guy in a preseason game because you want to see him go against the other competition. And you'd like to see as many live reps as you can get out of him. The problem is you've now exposed him. And if you're hoping to sneak him through waivers to the practice squad, it's a lot harder to do because that tape goes around to 31 other teams.
Paul, this is fun.
Fun time, John. Really enjoyed it today.
We are the last ones left on this patio. They've actually. Oh no, we got one guy over there.
Wait a minute. Oh, Chris, how you doing? Channel 2's producer.
Oh, he's still there. Perfect. All right, so just a reminder before we go, folks. Fee free and open to the public. The Giants Fan Fest takes place on Friday, September 6th, presented by Wendy's at MetLife Stadium. Doors open at 5 p.m. We'll celebrate 100 seasons of Giants football with a ceremony honoring the top 100 Giants, autographs and panel discussions by Giants legends, historic displays, photos with the Lombardi trophies, and an incredible drone light and fireworks show to end the night. Get your tickets now by visiting Giants.com/fanfest. And if that's not a night, the following morning, show back up at MetLife Stadium. Or maybe just, crash in the parking lot overnight if you want. That could be fun, too. Paul maybe can find a spot for you in the back of his car. Saturday, September 7th, 9 a.m., Runner Walk with Giants Legends. The Giants Foundation will host a 5K race and kids run presented by Quest at MetLife Stadium. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt. After the race, stay for a post-race festival with appearances by Giants Legends and a live DJ. Register now at Giants.com/5K. Guys, Giants tickets, Giants.com/tickets, season tickets, single game tickets, check it out. And then for all of our content, get Giants TV free on all your smart TVs, all of our highlights, programming, all that good stuff. Go check it out. Thanks again to the Jets for having us. To Paul Dottino, I'm John Schmeelk. Tomorrow we're back. One more show at 3:30. I think on Friday we're going to go to 12:30 and hope the following week we can stick at 12:30 and go for the rest of the regular season. We have not had the practice schedule yet, but what the hell?
Coach, help us out, man. Give us a nice, consistent schedule.
Yeah, just go to the regular season schedule next week. And we're good.
Oh, man.
We'll see how it goes. But tomorrow we're back at 3:30. For Paul Dottino, I'm John Schmeelk. We'll see you tomorrow for Big Blue Kickoff Live. Thank you, Pearson. We'll see you tomorrow.
Kroger brand products have the great taste you'll celebrate. That's why over 40 million people choose Kroger brand products, making them a true crowd pleaser. And with quality guaranteed, you'll love your choice or get your money back. Score Kroger brand products with savings you can cheer for and great taste you can't resist. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
If you're a smoker or dipper looking to make a change, you really only need one reason to do it. But with Zyn nicotine pouches, you can find many. Zyn is America's #1 nicotine pouch. It's made with only 6 simple ingredients. Plus, Zyn is the only nicotine pouch with a 10-day hassle-free trial. There are lots of options when it comes to nicotine satisfaction, but there's only one Zyn. Find your Zyn online or in a store near you at zyn.com/find. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.